Your habits are not just what you do. They are what your life is slowly carving you into. Look at the last promise you broke to yourself. Not the public one, the private one. Tomorrow, I stop. Tomorrow, I wake up early. Tomorrow, I do the work. Tomorrow, I stop reaching for the thing that owns me. You said it with conviction. Then the cue appeared. The phone glowed. The craving rose. The anger moved. The work felt heavy. And the old pattern took over before the better version of you even entered the room. That moment is the real battlefield. This video is not here to inspire you for 10 minutes and leave you with nothing by night. You are going to get a system, a practical code of discipline built around one cue, one 2-minute action, and one visible mark. In the age of the Northmen, weak will was not an aesthetic flaw. It could become a death sentence. If your hand shook from last night's ale, you might not raise your shield fast enough. If your anger moved faster than your judgment, your whole crew could pay for it. Today, most of us are not standing in a shield wall, but we are losing battles every day. The glowing phone beside the bed, the dopamine loop that steals the first hour, the food you reach for when you are not hungry, the anger that speaks before your wisdom arrives, the work you avoid while telling yourself, tomorrow. These are not small accidents. They are chains you forge one repetition at a time. And here is the uncomfortable truth. You do not fail because you are weak. You fail because your bad habit has a ritual, and your discipline does not. It has a time. It has a place. It has a feeling that comes before it. And it has a reward that arrives faster than discipline. If you want to break that chain, you cannot rely on one dramatic promise at midnight. You need a counter-ritual. That system is called the Daily Rune method. One stone, one mark, one replacement action so small that your brain cannot easily resist it. By the end, you will know exactly how to choose one bad habit, how to find the trigger beneath it, how to replace it with a 2-minute action, how to recover after missing a day, and how to create visible proof that your identity is changing. This is not magic. This is not a motivational speech. It is a practical way to cut the chain you have been forging for years. The old Norse world understood something modern people often forget. You are not your thoughts. You are your repetitions. A warrior was not a warrior because he imagined courage. A craftsperson was not skilled because she wished for mastery. A person became what they repeatedly practiced, under pressure, in front of others, and alone when nobody was watching. That northern wisdom echoes something that other cultures and modern systems would later describe in different words. Small changes, repeated honestly, become large victories. But the ancient image still cuts deeper. A stone in your hand, a small mark carved into it. A reminder that change is not one heroic decision. Change is a ritual repeated until your identity can no longer return to its old shape. So picture this. You are sitting beside a fire in a longhouse during the hard center of winter. Outside, the snow has swallowed the paths. The air is quiet except for the crackle of the hearth and the dull sound of wind against timber. For months, you have been reaching for the same comfort. An extra cup of ale, another ration of bread, another hour wasted in avoidance, another angry word spoken before thought. You tell yourself it helps you survive the darkness, but you know the truth. Your sleep is worse, your hands are less steady, your focus is thin. And worst of all, you no longer fully believe yourself when you say, This was the last time. Then an old skald enters. His beard is white with frost. His eyes are calm in a way that makes excuses feel childish. He does not lecture you. He does not call you weak. He places a smooth stone in your hand and gives you a small iron chisel. Every day, he says, you will carve one mark, not for the habit you hate, for the action that replaces it. You ask him how a scratch on a stone can defeat a craving. He says, it cannot, but the person who keeps carving will not remain the same person. That is the method. The Daily Rune is not magic. It is not pretending that a stone has power. The stone is only a witness. The power is in the loop. You notice the cue. You choose a tiny replacement action. You mark the action. You see proof. You repeat. And slowly, the old identity loses evidence while the new identity gains it. Most people fail at breaking bad habits because they start too big. They say, I will never eat sugar again. I will never waste time again. I will never get angry again. I will wake up at 5, train for an hour, meditate, read, write, and become reborn before breakfast. This feels powerful for one evening. Then reality arrives. Stress arrives. Fatigue arrives. Boredom arrives. The body asks for comfort. The mind asks for the familiar. And the plan collapses because it was built for the person you wish you were, not the person who must take the first step. The Daily Rune begins smaller, not because small is impressive. Small is not impressive. Small is survivable. If the habit is checking your phone in the morning, the first rune is not no phone until noon. The first rune is stand up, drink water, open the curtains, then touch the phone. If the habit is anger, the first rune is not be peaceful forever. The first rune is take 3 breaths before the first sentence. If the habit is procrastination, the first rune is not work 8 perfect hours. The first rune is open the document and write 1 ugly sentence. If the habit is late night snacking, the first rune is not become a perfect eater. The first rune is drink tea, wait 10 minutes, then decide. The replacement action must be so small that your mind has no dramatic argument against it. Why do small steps work where iron will fails? Because your brain is a lazy beast. It hates sudden change. It protects energy. It repeats what already feels safe. An old habit is a deep path in snow. The first time you walk it, the steps are hard. The 10th time, your feet know where to go. The 100th time, the path almost pulls you forward. That is why the phone seems to enter your hand before you decide. That is why anger reaches your mouth before wisdom does. That is why avoidance feels easier than beginning. If you try to leap too far, the inner guard wakes up. It says, this is too much. Return to the old road. But the Daily Rune is a micro-action. It is so small that it slips under the radar of your defense. 1 breath, 1 sentence, 1 glass of water, 1 2-minute task, small enough to begin, visible enough to reward, repeatable enough to become a road. Scientists call the brain's ability to change neuroplasticity. I call it cutting a new trail through the frost of your own mind. That is what the rune does. The mark gives the new action a reward now. Not a huge reward, not fireworks, just proof. And proof matters more than people think. A bad habit often wins because its reward is immediate. Scrolling gives stimulation now. Food gives comfort now. Anger gives release now. Avoidance gives relief now. But the reward of discipline is usually delayed. Health comes later. Confidence comes later. Respect comes later. Freedom comes later. The rune drags part of that future reward into the present. You make the mark, and your mind sees I didn't obey the old pattern. The mark becomes evidence. The evidence becomes identity. The identity becomes easier to repeat. This is the first law of the Daily Rune. Do not try to destroy the old habit first. Build a replacement ritual that can survive contact with real life. Now let us look at Astrid. Astrid is fierce. Everyone knows it. She trains hard, speaks directly, and never hides behind hesitation. But her strength has a shadow. When pressure rises, she acts before she listens. On a raid, she hears a noise in the dark and charges forward before the signal is given. Her unit has to move early. The plan breaks. 2 people are wounded because her fire outran her judgment. Afterward, her chief does not shout. That makes it worse. He only says, "If you do not rule your fire will rule everyone around you." Astrid hates the words because they are true. She does what most people do after a painful failure. She makes a large vow. I will control myself from now on. But the next time adrenaline floods her body, the vow disappears. Her hand moves, her voice rises, her body chooses speed before wisdom. She thinks she has no discipline. But the problem is not that she has no discipline. The problem is that she has no ritual between the cue and the reaction. So the Skald gives her one. When you feel the heat rise, he says, you will take 3 breaths before the first action. If you do this, carve a rune. Astrid almost laughs. 3 breaths? She wants command over herself. She wants a new mind. She wants the shame removed. But the Skald says, a warrior who cannot take 3 breaths has no business asking for a new life. So she begins. The first day she remembers too late. No rune. The second day, she catches herself after the first angry word. No rune, but now she has seen the cue. The third day, she feels the heat in her chest, closes her mouth, breathes once, twice, 3 times, and then speaks. 1 mark. It looks pathetic. 1 scratch on a stone. But that scratch is a different future beginning to exist. By the 10th mark, she is not calm all the time, but she is no longer blind. By the 30th mark, the pause begins to appear before she has to command it. By the 50th mark, others notice that her strength has become heavier, quieter, more dangerous, because it no longer spills everywhere. She did not become less fierce. She became governed. This is what people miss about discipline. Discipline is not the removal of fire. It is the building of a hearth. Fire outside the hearth burns the house down. Fire inside the hearth warms the room, cooks the food, and keeps people alive through winter. Your bad habit may be built from something useful that has lost its place. Anger may be misplaced protection. Overeating may be misplaced comfort. Procrastination may be misplaced fear. Scrolling may be misplaced hunger for novelty. Spending may be misplaced desire for control. If you only hate the habit, you miss the need beneath it. And if you miss the need beneath it, your replacement will be too shallow. This is the second law of the Daily Rune. Do not ask only, what do I want to stop? Ask, what is this habit trying to give me? Because the old habit gives you something. It may harm you, but it pays quickly. Relief, escape, comfort, power, distraction, stimulation. Your replacement action must give a cleaner version of the same reward. If the habit gives relief, the replacement must calm the body. If the habit gives stimulation, the replacement must wake the mind. If the habit gives control, the replacement must create order. If the habit gives comfort, the replacement must soothe without stealing from tomorrow. And this is where most people miss the second trap. Some habits do not look dramatic from the outside, They do not look like rage. They do not look like collapse. They look like comfort. But comfort can become a cage. That is Bjorn's problem. Bjorn is not impulsive like Astrid. He does not explode. He disappears. His enemy is the long winter after the work is done. If Bjorn lived today, he would not look like a broken man. He would look normal. He would have a phone in his hand, snacks beside the bed, 5 tabs open, and a strange exhaustion that never disappears because his body is resting while his mind is drowning. He would call it relaxing, but it would be digital obesity. Not fat on the body, weight on the mind. Too much content, too much noise, too much comfort, not enough meaning. During the day, he can lift, carry, repair, and endure. But at night, when the room grows quiet and the fire burns low, something begins to rot inside him. It is not hunger. It is the feeling of being unnecessary. No battle, no task, no clear purpose. Only the dark, the cold, and the heavy silence of a man who does not know what to do with himself when nobody needs him. So he eats, then he drinks, then he calls it rest. But it is not rest. It is an attempt to bury emptiness under comfort. That is why advice like, just eat less, would fail him. It answers the wrong problem. Bjorn's body is not asking for bread. His mind is asking for meaning. So his daily rune is different. When boredom appears, he must complete one useful act before he consumes anything. Sharpen a tool, repair a strap, practice a knot, carry water, clean one corner of the room, write one line of a family story so the dead are not forgotten. Then he carves the rune. At first, the mark is small, almost insulting. But after enough nights, Bjorn begins to feel something shift. The silence no longer means, I am useless. It means, there is one small thing I can make better. The old loop said, I am empty, so I consume. The new loop says, I am empty, so I become useful. That sentence can change a life, not in a day, not with drama. But repetition is a quiet judge. It eventually decides who you are. This is also why your environment matters. People love to talk about discipline, as if the disciplined person is simply stronger in every moment. But disciplined people often win before the moment arrives. They remove the trigger. They place the better action nearby. They make the bad habit annoying and the good habit obvious. If your phone sleeps beside your head, your morning self is walking into an ambush. Do not pretend you will wake up with monk-like restraint, while the device designed to steal your attention is glowing within arm's reach. Put it across the room. Better, outside the room. Place water where your hand reaches first. Place a book where the phone used to be. Place a notebook open to the page where you will mark the first rune. If you snack at night, do not rely on heroic strength while the food is waiting in the cabinet. Move it. Replace it. Make tea visible. Make fruit visible. Make the first step of the new ritual easier than the first step of the old one. If you procrastinate, do not begin your day with 20 open tabs and a vague command to be productive. Prepare the battlefield the night before. Open the document. Write the next task on paper. Leave the first sentence unfinished so your mind has a place to enter. The Vikings did not separate training from living. Weapons had a place. Tools had a place. The work of survival shaped the body because it was built into the day. Modern life separates everything. Work is here. Health is there. Focus is somewhere else. Temptation is everywhere. So you must design your longhouse. Your room is a habit machine. Your desk is a habit machine. Your phone is a habit machine. Your kitchen is a habit machine. Ask yourself, what action does this space make easy? What action does this space make hard? What identity does this space quietly train? This is the third law of the Daily Rune. Do not trust motivation in a hostile environment. Change the room so the new self has a place to stand. Now, here is where most people will ruin this method. They will make it too complicated. They will buy the perfect notebook, download the perfect tracker, create a beautiful system, and design a plan to conquer their entire life. Then they will miss one day and throw the whole thing away. Do not do this. Your rune must survive a bad day. A line on paper, a scratch on wood, a checkbox on a calendar, a stone moved from one bowl to another. That is enough. The mark is not there to impress you. The mark is there to tell the truth, and the truth includes failure. You will miss a day. You will scroll. You will overeat. You will speak too fast. You will avoid the work. The mistake is not the end of the saga. The end of the saga is the weak story you tell after the mistake. I failed, so I am back to zero. I always do this. I might as well restart next week. Stop giving one bad moment the power to rename your entire identity. Say this instead. I saw the trigger. I missed the mark. Tomorrow I carve again. This is the fourth law of the Daily Rune. Honor is not never falling. Honor is how fast you return to the path. Now let us stop circling the idea and turn it into a practical system you can use today. Step 1. Name the real habit. Do not say, I lack discipline. That is too vague. Say, I check my phone before getting out of bed. I eat when I feel bored after dinner. I avoid the first hour of work by opening YouTube. I interrupt people when I feel threatened. I spend money when I feel low. The more specific the habit, the easier it is to defeat. A vague enemy becomes a myth. A specific enemy becomes a target. Step 2. Find the cue. Every habit has a doorway. Time can be a cue. Place can be a cue. Emotion can be a cue. Another person can be a cue. A physical sensation can be a cue. Ask, when does it happen? Where am I? What do I feel right before it? What am I trying to escape? What reward do I get from it? This step may feel uncomfortable because it removes your favorite excuse. It just happens. It doesn't just happen. It has a doorway. Find the doorway. Step 3. Choose a replacement so small it almost feels insulting. This is where your ego will complain. It will say, that is too easy. That will not change anything. I need a serious plan. But the ego loves dramatic plans, because dramatic plans let you feel transformed before you have done anything. Choose the small action anyway. Phone addiction. Before touching the phone, stand up and drink water. Anger. Before speaking, take 3 breaths and lower your shoulders. Procrastination. Before avoiding the task, work for 3 minutes. Late night eating. Before eating, make tea and wait 10 minutes. Negative thinking. Before repeating the complaint, write 1 useful next action. Spending. Before buying, put the item on a list and wait 24 hours. The replacement is not the final goal. It is the first wedge in the door. Step 4. Make the mark immediately. Do not wait until the end of the week. Do not keep it only in your head. The body needs a ritual. The mind needs evidence. When the replacement action is complete, make the mark. That mark says, I interrupted the old loop. It does not say, I am perfect. It says, I am training. Step 5. Review the marks at night. This takes less than 1 minute. Look at the marks and ask, where did I win today? Where did the old habit appear? What cue was strongest? What should I make easier tomorrow? Do not turn this into self-punishment. You are not holding a trial. You are reading tracks in the snow. The tracks show where you walked. Now you can choose the next path with more intelligence. Step 6. Increase only after the first action becomes easy. This is where patience becomes power. Do not expand the ritual because you are excited. Expand it because the first step has become automatic. After drinking water before the phone, add opening the curtains. After 3 breaths before anger, add 1 honest sentence spoken slowly. After 3 minutes of work, add 10. After tea before snacking, add a short walk. Growth should feel like adding weight to a trained movement, not throwing a mountain onto your back. Step 7. Protect the ritual for 7 days. For the next 7 days, your only job is to carve the first rune. Not to fix your whole life. Not to become disciplined in every area. Not to build a perfect morning routine, perfect diet, perfect mindset, and perfect body at the same time. 1 habit, 1 cue, 1 replacement, 1 mark. 7 days. This is how you learn whether the method is real for you. And if you want the strongest version of this, write 1 sentence before the challenge begins. When I feel blank, I will do this. For example, when I wake up and want my phone, I will drink water first. When I feel angry, I will breathe 3 times before speaking. When I want to avoid my work, I will write 1 ugly sentence. When I feel bored at night, I will make tea before eating. This sentence is your oath. Not a giant oath shouted to the world, a small oath that can be kept in the dark. That is the kind that changes people. Now, I want to give you a warning. Do not use this method to hate yourself more efficiently. Many people turn discipline into a weapon against their own humanity. They track every failure, insult themselves for every slip, and call it growth. That is not discipline. That is shame wearing armor. Shame can force action for a while, but it usually creates hiding, lying, rebellion, and exhaustion. The Daily Rune works best when it is firm, not cruel. Firm means, I know what I promised. I know what the cue is. I know the next action. I return quickly. Cruel means, I failed, so I am worthless. Never confuse the two. The goal is not to become a machine. The goal is to become trustworthy to yourself. That may be the deepest reward of breaking a bad habit. Not abs, not productivity, not looking disciplined, not proving something to people who are not paying attention anyway. The real reward is this. When you say, I will do this, some part of you starts to believe it again. Self-respect returns quietly. At first, in a whisper, then in a pattern, then in a presence. You stop needing dramatic promises because your day contains evidence, and evidence is stronger than fantasy. Think again of the stone. At the beginning, it is almost empty. 1 mark looks small. 2 marks look small. 3 marks look small. This is the dangerous phase, because early progress rarely feels like transformation. It feels like effort without reward. This is where most people abandon the method and go searching for a new one. They want a system that makes the first week feel like victory. But real change often feels boring before it feels powerful. Stay with the marks. The first marks are not there to impress you. They are there to keep you from disappearing back into the old story. After a while, the stone changes. You can see the pattern. You can count the evidence. You can remember the moments when the old habit called and you answered differently. And eventually, something strange happens. You stop asking, "Can I do this?" You begin asking, "What kind of person am I becoming if I keep doing this?" That question is stronger, because habits do not only shape outcomes, they shape identity. A person who takes 3 breaths before anger is becoming someone who can be trusted with power. A person who writes 1 sentence before avoidance is becoming someone who does not wait for perfect emotion to begin. A person who drinks water before the phone is becoming someone who owns the first minute of the day. A person who pauses before spending is becoming someone who can tolerate desire without obeying it. These are not small things. They are small doors into large rooms. Rock does not surrender to 1 blow. It yields to 1,000 small cracks. Your old life is the rock. Your new ritual is the crack. Do not wait for 1 perfect strike. Do not wait for the morning when you wake up as a different person. Do not wait for shame to become holy enough to save you. Take the chisel you have. Take the day you have. Make the first cut. Tonight, choose 1. Not 5. Not your entire personality. Not every weakness you have ever hated. 1 habit. Write it down. Then write the cue. Then choose the smallest replacement action you can honestly perform in 2 minutes or less. Then choose your mark. A line in a notebook. A scratch on a stick. A dot on a calendar. A stone moved from 1 bowl to another. It does not matter what the rune looks like. What matters is that the old pattern no longer happens in complete darkness. You are bringing witness to the moment of choice. And when the cue appears tomorrow, do not make a speech to yourself. Do not negotiate with the old habit. Do not wait to feel ready. Perform the replacement. Make the mark. Continue the day. That is the whole method. Simple enough to dismiss. Strong enough to repeat. The old habit was built 1 repetition at a time. The new self will be built the same way. 1 cue noticed. 1 action replaced. 1 mark carved. 1 day reclaimed. Make the first cut right now. Write your oath in the comments in this exact form. My habit is. My cue is. My first rune is. Make it specific. Not I want discipline. Say, my habit is checking my phone in bed. My cue is waking up. My first rune is drinking water before touching the phone. Or, my habit is angry replies. My cue is heat in my chest. My first rune is 3 breaths before speaking. Or, my habit is procrastination. My cue is opening my laptop. My first rune is writing 1 ugly sentence. I will read the strongest oaths, and the clearest ones will help other people choose their own first mark. Put the old pattern into words. Give the new action a shape, then carve the first mark. The Skald was never offering magic. He was offering evidence. And evidence, repeated long enough, becomes identity. Your first rune begins here. Take a breath. Make the cut. Become the warrior of your own fate. 1 rune at a time.